Welcome to the Comic Binge. I am your host, Paul Herman, and today we are reviewing Fantastic Four First Steps. And I am not alone. I'm with my trusty Fantastic Four comrade, I guess, if you will, Curtis Finley, coming with us today. But before we get dive too deep into everything, please go into, if you haven't already, go subscribe to the Comic Binge. It only makes sense for you all to do that, though, because if you love comics, we want to subscribe. We talk about comics. We're going to review Fantastic Four First Steps. Probably, I'd say, from a comic book perspective, a lot of, not all of it, but I'd say a lot of it, because me and Curtis just can't help it because we love comics. So go subscribe if you haven't already. But as I was saying, Curtis is back. Curtis, you're here.
I'm here. Whoa! How did I get here?
How did you get here? We live on the same coast. We don't live that far away. We live far, but not that far away. So we'll have to have a meetup some point, So
that would be nice.
Yeah,
hey, what's
really
your
cool.
Twitter? What's your Twitter handle? I'm just trying to let my followers know on Twitter what they
sure.
should be watching.
Binge, it's either Binge Comic or on Twitter, or X, formerly Twitter, if you're wondering. It's under Binge Comic, or if you want to do.
There you are.
Yeah,
Perfect.
You found it. Cool.
Yeah, I got it.
While he's doing that, let everyone know, Curtis and I have gone through two major runs of the FF that aren't even I say major, but they're not like the runs, which I still think is probably Lee and Kirby and then Byrne. To me, it goes in that order. Maybe even Byrne more. I don't know. I think Byrne's incredible. Which maybe one day me and Curtis can do a mega deep dive into that, and if we ever feel obliged to. But anyway, I digress. But if you look at the previous episodes, Curtis and I had gone through the Tom DeFalco and Paul Ryan era, and then we also do the Mark Miller and the Brian Hitch era. And I think those episodes are great. We do a massive deep dive into those. So if you're interested in Fantastic Four comics, definitely check those episodes out. They're a lot of fun. We try not to spoil everything. And then next month, we're going to try to do Curtis's pick, which was the JMS run, James Michael Straczynski run of Fantastic Four, which I'm just going to spoil it right here for you, Curtis. Took me by surprise a little bit.
Okay.
It took me by surprise in a good way. So I've already read the Civil War era stuff, or the Civil War tie-in issues already previously. So revisiting those was interesting. So anyway, we'll save that for next week, next episode we do together, which will be next month sometime. But yes, so Curtis obviously is on the Epic Marvel podcast. He runs that. He has some great episodes. Some of your old interviews are great. You do some great interviews on there, by the way. I remember you interviewed Tom DeFalco on there, I think, right?
Well, I've had Tom DeFalco on a few times, and talking about. Did we talk about Fantastic Four? I'm pretty sure we did.
Thor.
And,
yeah, it was Thor too, right?
Oh, Thor! Yeah. He's done so much over the years. But he's a great guy to talk to because he's got some funny stories, and he's generally an entertaining guy. But yeah, I mean, I haven't done a creator interview in a long time. I've just been too busy to deal with that side of things. Hey, Batman, nice to see you. Batman is a regular viewer over on my channel.
Hi, Batman.
So it's nice to see you here. That's great.
Yes, Garrison had a baby. Yeah, Garrison, old buddies with his dad, became buddies with him, and he's a big Fantastic Four fan. He's always looking forward to this, and then we was very excited about what's going on this summer. This has been a great summer. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I love Superman. I love Fantastic Four. So, I mean, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there have been so many movies that I've really enjoyed, including Jurassic Park, Thunderbolts, and How to Train Your Dragon was incredible.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Oh man, that one was so good. And even on Netflix, I watched with my kids. Watched K-pop Demon Hunters, and that was really great.
Dude, it is. And not only that, my daughter she's watching it today again. I was like, I told my wife, I'm like, man, she really likes this movie. She's like, it's really good. I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, it is good, but it's just it's weird that she keeps watching it. But yeah,
Hey, I'm sure we were like that when we were kids. You'd pick a movie and you watch it over and over and over again.
yeah, I know. But Curtis, I want her to connect with my movies and my stuff. You know, I know. No, I think it's awesome. I think K-pop Demon Hunters is actually it's ridiculous how good that movie was. So, but yeah, are your kids big fans of that movie too?
Yeah, so I watched it with my kids, and both my daughter and my son both like it. My son is 13, and he knows all the song lyrics and gives me all these interesting trivia facts because he says his YouTube Shorts algorithm is now filled with K-pop Demon Hunter stuff.
It's legit. That's the same animated group that do Into the Spider-Verse. That's what it looks like
Yeah,
anyway.
Sony ImageWorks. That's right. Yeah, and you can tell it has a very similar aesthetic to it. Really well done.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those things where I love that animation style so much, and it's just like seeing it is awesome. So yeah, you know, and and Spidey dude, I got your text. Maybe I've got a strict schedule with me and Curtis here, so I apologize, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so Curtis, you just really quick, I want to get your quick thoughts on Superman.
Oh wow, okay. Quick. I loved it.
Excellent.
I thought it was so much fun. I really liked the take on the character. I liked the all of the action. I liked that he wasn't invincible. I know a lot of people didn't like that he was invincible and that he needed help or saving or whatever, but I thought that it worked well in the places that it did. It showed him being unstoppable when it needed to, and just I know part of this movie is to jumpstart and build up a shared universe where he's collaborating with other heroes. So if he can do everything by himself and doesn't need to collaborate, then what's the point?
What's the point?
So,
Yeah, exactly.
So
Good
I'm
point.
glad that they were able to show that off. Crypto was awesome. Supergirl is awesome. Um, Green Lantern was so good, and I think that my favorite was Mr. Terrific. He was so amazing too.
Oh,
Metamorpho. I mean, all of the characters were
yeah.
so well done in that movie. I thought it was
And just really quickly, I'm not sure have you read any of the Jeff Johns Goyer JSA run? Have you read any of that? That was my introduction to Mr. Terrific. I knew him peripherally a little bit, like I knew he was like, Jeff Lemire did it. I had all the single or a good chunk of the single issues of the Terrifics, and I always wanted to read it. And I knew him from that a little bit, but it wasn't until I started reading the JSA Goyer and Jeff Johns Robinson stuff, and that was like I mean, I love that stuff, and he's in it. He's great. He's fantastic. And I was, he was definitely a standout. He was my favorite character. He's my wife's favorite character. She doesn't even like these movies, and she went and saw it with her friends and I. And so
that's great.
I would say this is probably, absolutely agree. I loved it. It's not perfect by any means, but I loved it. So
and there's no comic book movie that is perfect. So they take liberties with the source material, and like CGI is not perfect. There's always suspect CGI and everything, and when you're cramming so much, maybe the pacing's off here and there. But I still totally enjoyed myself going through it. It was fun. It was just a fun movie.
Yeah, amen. And speaking of fun movies, this one we're about to talk about, which I'm very excited because there are certain Marvel films and certain things that I know that Superman, I know Superman decently, but like Chris, my buddies Javi, they're the Superman guys, right? I'm the Marvel zombie. Like I grew up reading Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, X-Men interchangeably, like just all over the place for 8 years. And as Curtis, that with my knowledge, that's legit. Like I love the era of stuff, 90s.
Absolutely.
And yeah. And so the thing is like, I posted a video. I should have grabbed it and posted it right here, but I posted a video of me like going like, listen, it's a short video. If you watch it on YouTube now, everyone, you can go watch it. It's crazy because I want to show people that I'm so excited for this movie, Fantastic Four. And it's not just like I love Marvel films. Like, no. Like, I mean, I don't want to be like, a gatekeeper by any means, but like, like I love the Fantastic Four. Like I showed a bunch of my comic collections, all my trades, my single collection, my giant Fantastic Four poster, which I have right here, issue 1, which I'll just throw it up here. I have this framed and a big, because this embodies why I'm a comic fan today, because it's the Marvel universe, and this is Marvel's first family versus Marvel's 616 proper issue, proper. Timely doesn't count just yet. So, that's a whole different podcast, right, Curtis? So anyway,
well, and this is the Fantastic Four is the reason I got into Epic collections as well.
Okay.
Because I'm a big Fantastic Four fan, and
I know.
it was my goal in the early 2000s when I was out of high school and got a job and could spend some more money to try and get all of the back issues for Fantastic Four. And of course, that's a pipe dream because number one's impossible, and number two, and to like
and this one
49, or I have that one actually.
Well,
but,
you do. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
all right.
they of course I wasn't going to get some of the earlier ones, but I was going to try and get as many as possible, and I was able to get the entire run starting from about 80 to present day
Wow.
at the time, and then that was
Oh,
around the Mark Wade era, I think, somewhere around there. And then and a smattering of issues before that, from between, I think my earliest Fantastic Four issue I have is number 8, the first appearance of the Puppet Master.
Oh, okay.
Or he's on the cover and he's using his Fantastic Four as marionettes. So I have that one, and I have a smattering of them between that and issue 80, and then after that, all of them onward. And that was also around the time where the Omnis were first coming out, and collected editions start becoming a thing. And I was a kind of a single issue Puritan at the time, or purist. I was like, I don't want to get these collected issues. You got to have the actual real single original issue, right? Of course, impossible for the first few issues. So I was like, okay, well, actually this Epic collection looks pretty good because it just has like the first 20 issues, which I need. And so that wasn't the first Epic collection that I bought, but it was because they had started that program, and the fact that they were going to do things like try and get them going on a regular basis and get the whole run completed, that I was like, yeah, I can dig this. This is really, really good. And that kind of opened the door for the rest of these Epic collections. And now I don't buy single issues at all. I just buy collected editions.
I love both, and I mean I'm sure you do too. But it's
for sure.
You have to basically, if you're like me and you commit to you don't commit to one, you just get lost very easily as far as like what you want to do. And I'm kind of in that phase right now. I'm like, do I just go digital? I'm doing singles of the series I want to collect, like Spider-Man. I'm clicking ASM still, and like I'm collecting like Geiger and that the unnamed universes I'm really into. And Moon Knight, the current McCabe Moon Knight stuff has been fantastic. So I've been keeping up on that. But yeah, now I'm like, how much do I really want to invest in even in the trades at this point? Because I'm like, whatever. Right. I digress. Fantastic Four. See, Curtis, this is what happens. This is what always happens. So anyway, dude, you're not wrong. True. Batman, you're not wrong. Because I started back in 2020 when my daughter was born, and I haven't like gone crazy, but I definitely keep up on like certain epics. Like I'm clicking all the Amazing Spider-Man epics now that I don't have in Omnibus, which is starting to really irritate me. But again, I see I'm getting off on a tangent again. All right, so I'm stopping. Okay, so as we said, me and Curtis are big Fantastic Four fans. We love the comics, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, you still buy Savage Dragon? All right.
Good.
I need to read that again one day. It's a whole different podcast. Which again, maybe I'll have you and Rob on again. But Rob will joke it's 2027 when I'll get him on again. So anyway, Rob, I love you. So okay, so quick rapid fire thing for our friend here, and I'll chime in too. So we'll go in chronological order. Roger Corman's Fantastic Four. What do you think? What's your take?
For what it is, they did a pretty darn good job considering it had a minuscule budget and they were just throwing it together for no reason. Um, eh, it's not a good movie, but it's for what it's worth. It's actually, you know, I couldn't believe that it exists.
I will challenge that. I don't think it's a good movie in. You could say it's not a good movie in comparison to movies at the time, you know, but you could also
Yeah,
say
that's true.
that,
They got the
yeah,
characters down and such. Yeah.
okay. We have Mr. Clow has joined us. He has entered the building. Mr. Clow, hi. What? What's your
What the hell,
problem?
man? I've been
What's
expecting
wrong?
like a text from you all day, and it's just like,
I thought I said it was Tuesday.
yeah, you said it was Tuesday, but you listed like 8:20
Hold
as the
on.
start.
Hold on. A proper introduction is in order. Have you met Curtis before?
No, I haven't. Hi, Curtis. Nice to meet you.
Curtis, this is
Hello,
Chris.
Chris.
Chris is
Nice, nice to meet you. No,
yeah.
it was we
I
haven't
appreciate
even started. We were just
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah.
not much.
I did say last week
Well, I
Tuesday.
still blame Paul. Yeah, but you normally you're like, hey, I'm jumping on.
Listen,
I feel like you're
know
trying to
give
get
given
me out, you to bump me off or something.
get
I don't
no
know.
no get and for those who don't know, I saw Fantastic Four with Chris last week. So this is I thought we were being clear. So anyway, Chris, have you seen? You'll join in with this too. Have you seen the Corman Fantastic Four? No,
Only bits and pieces of it.
I
But
yeah.
I
Good.
admire the ambition of it. I'll just leave it at
It's
that.
go watch the Doom documentary. That's a fun documentary, you know, and oh, I love it. I freaking love it. You know, well, yeah, because I knew as I figured, I'm like, this guy's gonna be out all night. Anyway, I'll be here all night doing this with Clavy and Chris. So I just want to say that this movie is way better than it has any right to be. It's not, is it, you know, if you compare it to films back in the day, yeah, it's not going to be as good, but it's, remember, Corman's B movie. Like, this is, it's, if you modernize some of the special effects, like just like just make it like, if you were to take like CGI this stuff now and then like make it look as much like 90s special effects then, it would be legit. Like, I think so. I mean, like I really did enjoy this movie, you know, considering what they were able to do, and the fact how it exists in the first place is wild. So it's like, to me, it's an all timer. But it, you know, I do have a fondness for it because I did watch it with one of my best friends, John Beerley, who's no longer here with us. So we watched it right before he went back to on his flight, and we had a blast. So anyway, maybe
Sorry,
the best. Good.
what year this was? What year was this? Was this
94?
1994?
Four, I believe. Yeah.
And so that's right in the middle of Tom DeFalco's Fantastic Four.
Yep.
And also it's just a few years. Let's see, what else was around at the time? Batman Forever was 92,
5.
93?
Oh, 95.
No,
Okay.
Batman Returns was 92. Batman Forever was 95.
Okay, so this is right between Batman Returns and Batman Forever. And then Blade is just a couple years away at 98.
Yeah, you're
So
right.
this really
Okay.
is just like there was no real standard for these superhero movies at the time. Even the Batman ones were so wildly different from each other.
Yeah.
And so the fact that they even attempted it was, I know they were doing it just to keep hold of the copyright, but they
Wild.
they did a pretty decent job for what it is.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Lois and Clark was about a season deep at this point.
What?
And let's see, we were 3 years removed from The Flash. running wild. This was the first year that Spider-Man the animated series was on the air.
Yeah,
Right.
that
Yes.
sounds. Yeah, that
That's
sounds
right.
right. Yeah. By the way, this is wild. The FF trailer with the Crow opening weekend. Holy hand grenades! That's wild. That's
I
wild.
didn't even know that they released the trailer theatrically. Didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. That's crazy. Oh, 90s is wild, man. All right, so Corman's Fantastic Four. It's not as well. He produced it. He didn't really do anything else with it, but we call it Corman's Fantastic Four for all intents and purposes. All right, moving on. We've got Tim's Story Part 1, Fantastic Four. Curtis, quick take. What's your take on this movie?
When this movie first came out, I loved it. I thought
Should
it
have been
was
better.
Chris is.
Well,
I think Chris.
Oh, sorry. Here's the thing. Paul says Curtis is named so fast that it sounds like Chris to me. So I apologize, Curtis. I didn't mean to step on your toes.
You called me out, man. It's calling me out. All right, Clow, Reverend. You hold on. I'll reference you as Reverend. All right, Curtis, continue, please.
Well, I will agree. It could have been better. Absolutely. 100%. When this movie first came out, though, I absolutely loved it. And at the time, the only real standard we had was the X-Men movies and the Spider-Man movies, which were excellent.
Yes.
But especially the X-Men one was so different from the comics. And I think a lot of the comic community was craving something that was way more like the source material. And this movie was actually they tried to be very close to the source material as they could. Obvious differences, of course, because you have to when you're movie making. But this movie is more, I would say, more comic accurate than this new than the new Fantastic Four movie that came out. Does that make it a better movie? No, it doesn't. Absolutely not. And it doesn't stand the test of time, unfortunately, but I do have fond memories of it when I saw it in the theater.
Right on. Okay. And Chris, what's your take on this movie?
Yeah, it should have been better. I feel like this is one instance where the casting does shine quite a bit. I actually really liked the internal truthfulness that someone like Michael Chiklis brought to Ben Grimm, even if let's say the makeup effects left a little bit to be desired, but I thought the performance for what it was pretty good. Ian Griffith as Mr. Fantastic was also pretty solid. And I mean, Chris Evans as Johnny Storm is legendary for a reason, and we got to revisit him, which was a lot of fun recently.
That was
But
fun.
overall, Doom is a severely missed opportunity. I mean, Julian McMahon, for the material that he was given, I think he did a pretty solid job with it, but the movie's conception of Doom is something that I have kind of an issue with. And I feel like throwing the FF and Doom together as quickly as this movie does was a little bit of a mistake. I feel like they should have maybe started a little smaller scale and worked up to someone like Doom, but they wanted to jump right to Galactus right away for the second movie. That I'm
Well,
sure, but
this new one jumped to Galactus right away in the first movie.
well, true, but there's a difference in terms of like scope, scale, and the envisioning of Galactus as the primary antagonist for the team. And since this was the difference between the 2005 movie and the 2025 movie, of course, is that the 2005 movie was conceivably the introduction to these characters for a lot of people. This is their first major motion picture, if you don't count the 1994 movie, and most people don't, I think, because it was never released. But
Shame.
By this point in time, by 2025, we lived with different versions of these characters for a while. So I feel like it's a little more forgivable there than it is in this series.
I would also say, I'd also say that this period in 2005, the general audience of superhero movies, like the general public, wasn't ready for a giant pink and purple alien monster.
That's
Like they
fair.
were still like the whole purpose of X-Men was to bring more realism to these characters with the black leather or whatever and get away from the campiness. And so I think that's what they were trying to do with Doctor Doom as well. Maybe make him not as megalomaniac as he is in the comics or whatever, and bring some more, I don't know, quote unquote realism. And that I think that's why they also didn't do Galactus the
Right.
classic way in the
The
second
Cloud.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
Cloud,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. I think that's a fair observation. But another thing that this movie has against it, it's not the movie's fault, is that it came out a few weeks after what is largely considered to be a pretty transformative superhero film. And
Spider-Man
if
2?
someone Batman Begins.
Oh, that's right. Wait, Batman Begins this came out after Batman Begins?
This was July 8th. Batman Begins was June 15th.
Wow. Dude, it's been a minute.
That's
Wow.
and that's a world of difference in terms of movie making. Those two movies, you couldn't be further apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
and really quick, like when I first saw this movie, I did enjoy it. I thought, that was pretty good. But when I rewatched it years ago, it made me almost throw up because it's still not terrible. Both movies aren't bad. The problem with this movie to me is Doctor Doom. Julie McMahon is, rest in peace. And this is not to just, I don't want to be mean for someone who just passed away, but horribly miscast, horribly written. When you have, I remember writing this on Twitter. I said, rewatching it, I'm like, why in the hell is Ben Grimm and a unmasked Doctor Doom having dinner in a diner? Like, this is like, who writes this shit? Like, seriously, it's so bad. Like, yeah. Anyway, so this movie is not terrible. It's not great. But it's definitely not terrible. I think this movie is actually pretty good, mostly because Silver Surfer rips in it. Everything else is pretty meh. But anything time Norrin's on the screen, it's pretty legit in my opinion. But I like it. Thoughts, Curtis? Excuse me.
I would have to say that I actually like the first movie better than this one. I remember
Okay.
being just so bored. I think I've only seen this movie once, and it was in the
Wow.
theater. And I was not impressed, and so I never went back and revisited it ever.
Okay. Clow?
I liked this one fine. I thought it was an
Yeah.
improvement on the first one,
Same.
mostly just because the characters felt a little closer to the people that I knew, especially Norrin Rad. Like Doug Jones doing the motion capture and Lawrence Fishburne doing the voice is a pretty solid combination for the Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that there was a little bit more forward momentum with Reed and Sue's relationship, but it ultimately falls into most of the same traps that the first movie did. I mean, the first movie too, like one of the things that I think actually worked that works against it is that it tried to sort of it tried to throw everything into that first one to set up the status quo for the FF, particularly like wanting to explain the Baxter building and having everybody in the origin story that moves pretty fast and everybody just kind of accepts what they are instead of the more kind of contemplative Fantastic Four stories that I certainly became accustomed to. And then by the time this one comes around, you don't have to worry about the preliminaries at least. But there's also just like this, I think, over reliance on a pop version of comedy that does a disservice to the main quartet. And I found that distracting. That's why when Silver Surfer was on the screen, we got a little bit of a reprieve from that. And in those moments, felt like the movie soared a little bit more.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it also does try to do way too much. Like, did we need Doom in this one? I don't think we did. But we got him anyway. And I felt like he just didn't really have much to do, especially for who that character is supposed to be. And there's like hints at Latveria, but also not too. It's hit or miss in terms of what it takes from the source. And if it took a little bit more, I think it would have been stronger.
All right, one last one, and then we'll make it quick here. We're already running long because I can't shut up, so that's my fault. Curtis.
I actually there were two movies that I the two Marvel movies that I've fallen asleep during.
Oh wow.
This is one of them, and the other is at the top of that poster there, X-Men: Days of Future Past. No, actually, no. Sorry, it was which is it called just
Apocalypse.
Apocalypse? Yeah, Apocalypse.
Yeah,
No, that's the
yeah.
one.
I knew what you were
That
saying. I knew exact as I can sympathize with that one.
this one had it had some good concepts and sorry, Sketchcraft, that's what I said earlier is the audience wasn't ready for the Galactus. But uh honestly, I don't remember much of this movie. I also haven't revisited this one ever. I haven't might not have even seen the whole thing because I fell asleep during it. But um I feel like the characterization was just off on most of these characters. Um, I don't really have anything more to say. I
All
don't
right,
remember this movie very much at all.
Chris or Reverend.
So I feel like this one started strong, and then so it like kind of started to soar. And in the moment, I remember watching it, being like, okay, maybe people were a little too harsh on this. And then there's a particular moment where it soars, then it sputters, and then it just
Mm-hmm.
falls harder than
Yeah.
anything I've ever seen. It's so extremely lopsided. I feel like the first like maybe 30 or so minutes are actually pretty good, and it takes some liberties that I think were interesting enough to be warranted in the storytelling, but ultimately it just does not come together and turns
Yeah.
into a absolute mess that is barely worth mentioning.
So me and Sean on the M2 Fan Show, we have a famous episode where we review this movie. It's like 10 years ago now, God. And we were yelling at each other because I was defending this movie. Because the thing about this movie that first of all, as a Fantastic Four fan, Curtis, I can say that I threw all my ideas of what I love about Fantastic Four out the window immediately. I knew I wasn't going to get that. Instead, I think at the core, and maybe even the trank cut, if you will, because there is a trank cut. There's tons of things in the trailers that aren't in the movie. There's a weird science fiction horror movie in here somewhere. And I think that aspect that we see through the first, I think over half of the movie is really interesting and a really weird I like the weird take on the Fantastic Four. It's when that third act happens that it becomes complete dog crap. And it's like, oh, you can totally see the studio interfered. And I would love to see an actual, train cut of this movie, because I think there is something interesting here. Because like the whole transformation scene is really just almost disturbing in like a creative, artistic way that I thought was interesting. And like the whole different portal, I thought was cool. Like, so there's elements here that I think they're interesting. And I think the first like 2/3 of this movie is actually entertaining enough. And then it just like, what the Reverend said, it was, down the hill. So anyway, I enjoy this more than most people, but I fully admit the third act is not good. It's not
Doom
good.
was totally unnecessary too. Like they did not need him in this, and they tried to shoehorn him in, and it just didn't work.
Yeah, exactly. I think the body horror wasn't explored enough, and I think that's where I'm curious if the trank cut explores more of that, because if you see right when like Ben becomes a thing and they get out, like it's like it jumps like a year or whatever. It's like really weird, like how it jumps, yeah, exactly. So anyway, all right, on to the main topic here at hand, which is Fantastic Four First Steps, which is, I've already reviewed it on the MC Fan Show. I freaking love this movie to death. I know where Chris Cloud, the Reverend, stands. Curtis, I think I know where you stand, but I have no idea. Tell me what you think about this movie.
This one gets a 2 thumbs up from me. I absolutely loved it, and I think that there was so many good things going for it. It embodied what I think the Fantastic Four should embody in terms of the relationship together as a family unit, and Galactus was incredible. I like it from just a practical standpoint, using actual real locations to film instead of blue screen or green screens, or those TVs they have in the backgrounds now of movie shoots. And
The
like,
volume.
and like the fact that Galactus, the actor, actually had a costume instead of having just his face CG'd onto the character, like that is just incredible, and it made it look impressive. I thought it was really great. um yeah, I loved it. I love the 1960s retro futurism. That was so good. The score was amazing.
Dude.
I had a great time. I loved it.
The score is I've listened to it with my daughter a ton, the main theme. It's definitely, I think, on par with Silvestri's Avengers, which I think is saying something. I think that because first of all, you probably don't know this about me, Curtis, but I'm a music person. I play music in bands for many years. I'm not, not like a expert, but I have a big background in music. I know you do too. I despise majority of the scores of the MCU, despite now a few withstanding. Ludwig's Black Panther, fantastic. I love Ludwig Göransson. I think he's a great composer. I think Silvestri's scores are, his theme is fantastic for Avengers. That's perfect. I don't think anything else stands out in his scores besides the main, but he's solid enough, right? He's solid enough, but the main theme is what you need to nail for Avengers, and he killed it. So that, I would say Avengers is probably the best, or one of the best. But I think Giacchino's Fantastic Four First Steps score and theme is probably the best MCU anything. The theme is chef's kiss, but the whole score is phenomenal, and it's retro but also futuristic. He balances that whole dynamic of what we thought science fiction, those soundtracks back in the day, they emphasize that you hear that those tones, those keyboards, maybe theremins, I don't know what they use, but just on first glance, but it's all there. The theme is just incredible. I think the theme is nuts. Yeah,
And I think
best
that's
score.
that's what Michael Giacchino's strengths is really memorable themes, and he pulls a lot of the tricks that he used in things like Wall-E, and a lot of his Pixar work, Inside Out, and like those elements all come together to make a really, really good score. He's also, because he's done so much work with Disney, I think he has a really good feel on how we perceive the Disney era to be, like Disney World or Disneyland, the Big Bright Beautiful Tomorrow, and Epcot and all that kind of stuff, and that the soundtrack with all of those sounds like something you would see in Disney trying to recreate the 60s.
Yeah, exactly. Reverend, go ahead and give your piece about this movie, because I know what you think. I think, but you've only seen it once, right? With me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have an intention to see it at least one more time, probably. But I really liked it. It's certainly felt the most truthful to all of these characters, and that much I really appreciated. The sort of a different direction that they took with the surfer, I think, made sense for what the movie is doing and where the movie
absolutely.
is but Galactus is clearly extremely well realized, and it's something that I had been hoping to see realized cinematically, and I was not disappointed. The changes that they did make, like they made a few characterization, not even changes as much as like tweaks to Johnny Storm, which I thought worked well for the ensemble, and actually probably made him more likable overall. He's
What do you mean? What? Explain.
He's not a womanizer in this movie, like, at all to speak of, and because the previous movies kind of focused, maybe not the 2015 movie so much, but the Chris Evans movies certainly did.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, that's an element of his characterization from some of his early appearances in the books, but kind of getting away from that, I think, did a lot of favors. And but be up above and beyond all of that, everybody had a really important role to play, so everybody felt well served. And I just the story I found really compelling. It was way more intense movie than I thought it was going to be,
Mhm.
and I appreciated that. But and it went in a different direction than what I was predicting it would, and that's always a delight when it can swerve you. So yeah, I had a great time watching this movie. I don't know if I had as much. I feel like the Marvel movie that I've most emotionally connected with this year and maybe over the past couple of years was probably Thunderbolts. But that
Yeah.
doesn't throw any shade on this one at all. I mean, this is a really solid movie and it portends some really great things for the future of the MCU if they can stick to this kind of caliber and acumen. So I really liked it.
Well, I think this is maybe definitely my top 10. I need to see it again. A couple things I want to point out to people, which is crazy. I've heard a lot of criticisms about this movie being like not action packed and kind of boring, and I'm like, I don't. I think this movie is going to age extremely well. I think it's action packed enough. I love the stakes. I think the again, spoiler alert, people, if you haven't seen it already. Um, I think Galactus and the Franklin Richards thing was such a biblical, like, thing, right, Curtis? Right? I mean, like, I was like, this is unique, and I thought it was very inspired. I mean, it's probably not as inspired when you think about the end of the movie where they're probably going to go with it, which is also weird that you could argue they're going to be using the onslaught, like, potentially, I storyline almost to an extent, for Doomsday, it feels like, but again, that's a different podcast. I don't want to get too deep in that yet. But I will say that I did think that the Galactus Franklin Richards thing was such a neat idea because, and one of the things I talked about on the show, on the MTV Fan Show, but I'm curious what you guys think, is one of the things I love about, the MCU is they're able to capture the spirit of the comics and the characterizations in the comics so well a lot of times that even if they aren't like 100% a pure, um adaptation, right? Like it's not like they're going in like Kevin Feige's like, yo, we gotta go and do this Galactus story and put in like, put the Watcher in there. I would have preferred the Watcher in there, to be quite honest. But like what the Reverend was saying, it's like it kind of surprised me at some of the twists and turns it did, which I was really happy about because I actually am glad we didn't get the Watcher and having that classic story because I loved the Franklin Richards aspect way more because it emphasizes the family model and way more. I mean, what better way to emphasize the Fantastic Four being a family than defending literally their family, like their child, right? And again, that is an inspired take in a sense of where it's not a literal adaptation of a comic story, right, Curtis? But it embodies everything about those characters within that story that's not a comic related story specifically. So I'm curious if like case in point, like I got the same feeling for Homecoming and No Way Home, not so much Far From Home. That's all, no thanks. But I think Homecoming and No Way Home embody the spirit of Spider-Man, and just like Into the Spider-Verse, they embody the spirit of the character and what makes the character tick so well that's what makes me love this movie so much. And that's what First Steps to me did with this whole premise. It made me really emphasize that family model so much more than any other iteration of Fantastic Four before it. That's why I think this movie hits for me so much. I'm curious where you stand on this with what I'm trying to explain. Maybe I'm not explaining myself too well. I'm not sure.
You're explaining just fine to me. What I really appreciate is that they were willing to do something different after a couple of failed attempts, or not failed attempts, but a couple of attempts at doing the origin story. It's like, now let's just skip ahead to when Reed and Sue are married and they're already established and they've already figured themselves out. Ben is okay with he's come to terms with his appearance and such, and let's just get on with it. And I think that's that's really important in, and 26 issues, or not 26 issues, or however many movies we're in now deep of the Marvel
Ugh.
Cinematic Universe. When we're starting up a new franchise, we don't need to have the whole we got superpowers, how do we deal with having superpowers story
Yeah.
again. And so let's just move right past that and get on with something unique. And that was great because um, I think one of the things about the previous movies is that and the Fantastic Four, when they're exploring their powers for the first time, they bicker or argue whose fault is it, and Reed feels bad and all this kind of stuff, and then they can't be the family unit until the very end of the movie when their character arc has come to that point where, okay, now we are a team, a family again. But in this one, they've moved past that, so they are that unit the entire time, and that I think is what made this movie really, really great.
Yeah. And before I throw it to you, Reverend, and I'll kind of lead you up a little bit with this. I think with Superman is a great example too of, again, a movie I love that gets you right in the middle of everything. And you don't, and it's showing you that people they don't need a lot of like, lead in to, or say, excuse me. They don't need a lot of education necessarily to know, as long as you set them up the right way, they're going to be fine, and
Well, these
so
characters are all part of the zeitgeist now. So it's
yeah,
like, yeah, we're gonna do a new Spider-Man movie. We don't need to do the origin story. Even like the Hulk movie didn't need an origin story in it. And this one, also, even though Fantastic Four isn't one of the more well-known characters, yeah, we get it. People go into outer space, or there's an alien or a bug or radioactive whatever, and they get powers. That's all you need to know. Let's move
yeah,
on.
yeah,
Well, and
exactly.
one of the things that you mentioned, Curtis, is something that it's like Matt Shackman and James Gunn were drinking from the same fountain or
Yeah.
something.
Hmm.
Because one of the brilliant things that I think Superman did, and something that it's set up for the DCU going forward, is that you realize right up front with that expository text, this world has lived with metahumans for hundreds of years. So when a metahuman shows up, we don't need to do what early MCU did or what Man of Steel tried to do, and just like get down and roll around in these existential questions about what it means for gods to walk among us. The movies are finally catching up to a point where the audiences are. We know these characters. We're going to the movies to see them. We want to see them in new kinds of adventures. And it's kind of passe to just focus solely on what the consequences are for the world for these characters to exist. No,
Yeah.
let's throw
Yep.
those preliminaries out of the way and jump in media res to a world with superheroes already well established, because in our minds they are. So let's just jump in. And both Superman and First Steps are really good examples of how that benefits your movie, especially when it comes to pacing. So I certainly don't agree with people who thought this movie was boring.
It's crazy.
I feel like I was watching a different movie. But yeah, I mean, I just thought that it did a really effective job of illustrating who they are really quickly and in a charming way, in something that does call back to Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow and Right Stuff and Apollo 13 in all the right places, and just pushes forward in something that I think the King would have appreciated.
I want to emphasize this here. Is it Sanov? I mean, my eyes are terrible, so I'm mispronouncing the name. I
Yeah.
apologize. Okay, cool. I'm not sure if it's one of yours, Curtis, or not. If so, welcome. I want to really emphasize what they're saying here, because I 1000% agree. I said this on the MCU fan show yesterday. I said that if the low-hanging fruit would be to make the Thing a bigger role in this movie, because he's easily the most marketable character of the four, in my opinion. And they didn't do that. They really pulled him back. And our own El Corazon himself, Javi. He criticized the movie for Ben having a lesser role. And I actually applaud and appreciate that because it just felt like more like a natural comic book of the family, right? Like everyone gets, I feel, like a good amount of time and something to shine here, and it's like, yes, I know that, yeah. Anyway, you're wrong, Javi. I love you.
I want to come back to that comment after you're finished here.
Yeah. It just, listen, the scene where he talks to the lady at the Jewish school, like I can, sure, like not perfect, but like in the essence of the Fantastic Four and how they're cooperating with each other and how they're interacting with each other when they're on screen and how they're sharing this, all that stuff, it all 1000% works for me. So I think it's perfect. Curtis, you want to comment on El Corazon's comment here?
Okay, so I think that from what I understand, there have been there was stuff that was removed from this movie because it was
for
getting
sure.
too
Yeah.
long, and one of them was John Malkovich. His story was completely removed out of here, and I think one of the things that I read also was this story with Natasha Lyonne, whose character's name is Rachel Rosman.
Interesting.
And I think there was supposed to be more, from what I understand, of that, but just for time's sake, they had to take things out. And yeah, and that's unfortunate. And so I'm hoping that they'll give the thing. And I do agree with Javi that the thing did get the smallest rollout of all of these four. Not to say that that's a bad thing, but I think that it was disproportionate. He didn't have the same the same hero moment in the movie that the other three did. I also want to say that I was reading that the character Rachel Rosman exists not because they wanted to get rid of Alicia, or maybe they did. They want to save her for another movie. But Roz, from the Rosman, Roz is Jack Kirby's wife's name. And so it's always said that that Ben Grimm is a characterization of Jack Kirby himself. So in this sense, in the movie, Jack Kirby and Roz are just kind of meeting up for the first time here. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and so and listen, like I just think it was, and I'm a big Thing fan, huge Thing fan. I just personally don't think that. I feel like him taking, not being the focal point or being a big part of the story like Johnny was probably the right thing to do. Probably also a money thing as well. I would assume, but there's going to be a next movie, and I would not be shocked if he's a big part of it. So I don't know. I thought it was fine. And again, I'm a huge Thing fan, so just want to throw that out there. I want to ask about the costumes. Curtis, give me your take on the costumes that they chose here.
I like them. They're very, very original Kirby-ish. I like kind of the ribbed pattern that they have in there.
Yeah.
I think that really gives it a retro 60s kind of a feel. I'm not sure exactly why, but it does. They're just practical. They're simple. They're not over designed. It's great. I think it's interesting to see Thing wearing a full jumpsuit, opposed to the last movie where he was wearing nothing at all. But yeah, no, I like them. I thought they were good. I need to mention Unstable Molecules in there somewhere.
Yeah, I know that people had mentioned that before. I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm fine with whatever on that one.
Yeah.
Reverend, what's your take on the costumes?
No notes. I think that the thing that might be evocative of the 60s with the lines is that they feel kind of like sweaters. It feels pre-spandex, And
yes. Yeah. I think so. Yeah, it's not body armor or anything like that.
Right. Yeah. So materially, it has kind of a retro vibe because those are the kinds of things that could hug your body back in the day before before they created other kinds of materials that did a little bit of a better job of that. But no, I mean they're really evocative and have a very classic kind of feel to it, with just a hint of the modernizing that you would expect a 2025 superhero film to have. I'm glad that Ben is in full regalia for the majority of this movie. I think it adds to the look of the overall ensemble. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I feel like these, compared to every other Fantastic Four movie we've seen, including the Corman movie, this doesn't have the costumes get in the way. It feels like a natural extension of the tone of the movie, and I really like them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
One of the things I thought was really interesting was the I love the fact they went with the burn style, and I mean by that, the white and blue, and because we all know that the Jack Kirby, Stan Lee stuff is in blue and black, which is classic. And I saw people being like, let's put it like, we see, they put like red renditions of like the black and the blue. And I'm like, the white and the blue is just fits so much better. And it looks fantastic. No pun intended. And I just think that this is the way it should be, in my opinion. Like, I think like
intend the pun, Paul. Intend the pun.
Yep. Just own it, man.
All right. Anyway, I honestly didn't mean to, but anyway, yeah, like, so it's, for me, I feel this costumes, the white and blue is so perfect. And I thought the costumes were incredible. One thing I want to mention here is, this is kind of funny. And I'm curious, as being a Fantastic Four fan like me, as a kid, it always bothered me that Ben never had a suit, really. Like, I mean, every once in a while they kind of experimented with like the tank top version, whatever. There's versions out there, but not like
he was a wrestler.
Yeah. But even before, but I'm talking about like when a Fantastic Four costume, like where he has like, he looks just like them. It doesn't really, it happens a little bit, but not really. And it always kind of bothered me. I always wanted that. And then like, it's funny, the movie gives it to us and I'm like, kind of want him shirtless. It's just funny how it goes for a circle that way.
You just can't be satisfied.
I can't. You cannot make me happy. God damn it. So yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I love the blue and white. I don't know. Yeah, whatever, dude. Like, whatever. You know what? I don't need it, Javi. If the movie gets everything right but unstable molecules, we're doing something right. Enough said. Right? Enough said. All right, that's enough out of you. Just kidding. Yeah. I mean, so let's let's go with our favorite character from the movie, and then we'll start wrapping up here in a little bit. My favorite character by far is Vanessa Kirby's Invisible Woman. I thought she was incredible. I thought she was the best actor of the group. I thought she brought her A game on every single scene. And, I think she was great. And I thought, and you'll appreciate this, Curtis, because I was really appreciative of the fact they showed everyone. And not in the like, where everyone's the YouTubers be like, oh, they make women so powerful, blah, 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 all those idiots out there, and like, I avoid this stuff already, but I have not seen it. I'm sure it's out there somewhere with these idiots, but like, I'm sure people are complaining about Invisible Woman's too overpowered. And I want to be all say like, actually, wrong, because this is actually something they got right, because Sue Storm should be like, is easily the most powerful member of the team by far. And we covered this, months ago when I was like, Invisible Woman can like straight up F up Galactus, like, whatever. And so I just want to say, for the record, the end of the movie, when she's like just primal, like screaming, like, going primal, on Galactus and pushes him literally herself into the portal, is such a baller move. And Vanessa Kirby looks just insane with that. Like, she brings it, man. Like, that kind of stuff is hard for actors to pull off and make it look believable. And some people do okay jobs. I thought she was incredible.
Fight or
And
flight, man. Fight or flight.
Yeah, word. Like that's your kid. Like yeah. You hear about the stories of moms lifting up buses to protect their kids. Stuff like that. Sure, but in the end, Sue Storm is the most powerful member of the Fantastic Four. And Curtis, I'm curious if you I appreciated that so much to see that on screen and everyone just in beautiful IMAX, by the way, too. I love that part. I love Sue Storm. I love Invisible Woman. I'm curious who your favorite character is, but just before we go into that, I'm curious, did you appreciate that her display of power as much as I did?
Yeah, I mean that was definitely a shining moment of the movie here. I will say though that this page that you've picked, she's not harming Galactus because Galactus says here that he can't be harmed, and so
Sure.
really,
Right. Yeah.
she's got this bolt, but she could have, but it doesn't do anything. The portrayal in the movie actually has her affecting Galactus in a way that this comic doesn't. Now, not to take away Sue in the comics at all, because she is very very powerful, um, yeah, I like that. You know who it was interesting because I saw this with my wife, and she actually did not really care for the portrayal of Sue,
Really? Okay.
because yes, she was all powerful at the end, but it's like, well, that's just because she's a superhero movie. Let me like, what was her other role in this movie? It was being mom, which is the stereotypical woman's role. And I mean, that serviced the story, of course. But then, even before she had the kid, the only thing that she did was answer phones. That's what she noticed. She didn't contribute to the outer space flight or scientific research or anything other than just answering phones. And maybe that's just because she's the Uhura in the Star Trek type of a movie or whatever, but that's what she she does
I
notice these kind
disagree.
of things.
I disagree because just really quick, because in this movie she definitely is interacting with with Shellabal and kind of figures out like, oh, like, but despite because the thing about her, she's a diplomat, right? She connects people. And also the great speech she has at the very end where she gets people to be on her side. Like she has things to do, maybe not like, space stuff, but that's not her strength, maybe as far as what she brings to the table. She definitely had things to do. Now, I don't want to take it away from her wife and her criticisms, but I disagree because I felt like she had a lot to do. And they set that up with the whole diplomat thing with, with her in the UN, whatever it is. So, I mean,
The Mole Man.
yeah. And Mole Man. I mean, like, so I feel like she's definitely way more than that. And I definitely feel like just the drama of the situation they're in. I appreciated like Vanessa's acting ability and be able to portray these emotions very rawly, so
Yeah, no,
that's just me. Yeah. So who's your favorite character of the movie?
I think that I like Johnny the best.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
I think his character, yes, you mentioned it before. He wasn't a womanizer in this one, but it wasn't that he wasn't a womanizer. He was kind of in between. He just wasn't. He wasn't chasing after women. That wasn't the point of this movie. It wasn't the point of the comedy that usually brings. But it wasn't. They didn't say that he also just, like, he clearly said that he liked the naked alien woman or whatever, space woman. um, but I liked his character arc because you could see that he was feeling undervalued, underappreciated, and self-conscious at the beginning of the movie. Then he figures out for himself what his strength is, and it's not being on fire, and he knows how to contribute in a way that helps benefit the story. And I really like that character arc. I also loved the dialogue between him and Ben. I thought their camaraderie was portrayed really well. And this is another thing, Chris, that you said earlier, that 90s pop humor or whatever, what do you call it, pop comedy or something, that was so prevalent in the early 2000s in all of those movies, that were just slapstick comedy, where it's like you have two characters that bicker, but it's just all quippy one-liners after another that are designed to make people laugh, and the actors pause afterwards to give the audience a chance to laugh so they don't miss the next line of dialogue. That wasn't this movie at all. The dialogue, I thought, came off so naturally and effortlessly between all of the characters in a subtle way. There were, of course, a few lines in there that were purposely designed for laughter, but I really, really liked how the actors just were so natural in their roles and the way that they presented themselves. Johnny did a great job of that, and it was so different seeing him in this role, because the only other thing I know him in, of course, is from Stranger Things, where he plays such a different character, and it was great to see him in this one. He did a great job.
Reverend?
Mine was probably Reed, and I think so. I know Pedro Pascal's getting a lot of work these days, but there's a
He's
reason.
a little oversaturated.
But
that is a problem in my opinion.
But not well. I mean, it's
No.
not really a problem. It's like he's
working. I can't blame him for that. But he's
working.
does.
And why is he working? Because he does a good job, and this was no exception. The thing that I appreciate the most. Oh,
yeah. I want to. I compare him to Johnny Depp from the late 90s, early 2000s. A guy who was like in everything, but he played a different character and did a really good job of it every single movie.
That's fair. That's a fair point.
What I really appreciate about his Reed. I mean, I feel like when you watch Ian Griffith play Reed, like he did a generally decent job, but you could tell that he was like, first of all, the writing didn't do enough to support how intelligent he was. Like it felt like someone of average intelligence trying to write a super intelligent person and what they think a smart person sounds like. And it just didn't feel particularly authentic in my estimation, of course. And Miles Teller's Reed, they just like pushed it in a weird and disconnected direction that just doesn't give a lot of service to the emotional intelligence on top of just like the raw mathematical and scientific intelligence that someone like Reed Richards has. This movie, the writing was on point because it put his thinking in a position of protection and as a father, and that really helped to make it authentic, particularly when he's talking about, I need to think about every possible scenario so that we know what to do when the worst possible thing can happen. That I thought was really well written, Reed Richards. But on the performance side, there's like an enunciation quality that Pedro Pascal gives to Reed that makes him come across as someone who deliberately chooses the words that he speaks with 100% certainty. You know, even if he puts his foot in his mouth, he still understands that the words that he is choosing to convey will be precise and that people will understand them. And he then goes off and he does things in his own head. And you could see that there's like this moment where he has to translate what's in his head into something to say to the rest of the team. And that is the sign of a well-written and well-performed, super intelligent person. So I thought that there was actually quite a lot of nuance into the way that Pedro Pascal played Reed Richards, and it totally comes across on the writing and in the performance.
I think the nuance was exaggerated by the fact that the writers didn't use any technical jargon or mumbo jumbo in any of his dialogue. He was a normal person with a super intelligence that didn't flaunt the fact that he had the super intelligence. In fact, some of those scenes, he was self-conscious about it.
Well said.
Yeah, and that brief moment where, you know, Ben is talking to him like, why didn't you pass your driver's test? That was due to poor.
Yeah.
That I thought that was it emphasizes their friendship in a way that I don't think the other movies sufficiently did. While
absolutely
also just a sweet moment, you know.
I'm with you a little bit, but at the same time, the actor won me. It won me over. The voice, I dealt with it. I thought I was good with it. I don't need the gruff voice. I thought his voice was perfect. To be honest, I accept for what it is. So, but I can see I see your point though, and I think it's obviously valid because it's your point. But I think there's truth to what you're saying. But it actually ended up working for me really well. The voice. So that's just me.
Difference between the voices of this Ben and the other ones, this one being soft, is it shows the dichotomy between his outside hard shell and who he really is on the inside. And I think it's a way to bring that out without just naturally. And it's done in the movements as well, and the way and just the words that he chooses. But he's and we know this about Ben from the comics, he is a lovable guy. And and I think when you read a comic, I don't know about you, but I don't typically put voices on my characters.
Yeah, I don't
I
really
just read
either.
them as my own voice. So Ben has never had a Rocky voice to me. It's just never been something that I projected onto his character when I'm reading the comics.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Curtis. Unlike novels where I do put people's voice because it helps me get into like the zone of what I'm reading, the prose, when I do every 20 years. But with comics, I just read it as is because I feel like the text and the panels that they're showing us with the text, it gives me the voices. You know what I mean? Like I just read it as is. I love how you said that. It's perfectly well said. Yeah, I mean, I love this movie. I think it's great. I think, I took my daughter to see it. I took Lulu to see it, Chris, as I invited you and Esri to come join us, and you were going to Metropolis instead, which I totally get. But you missed out, man. We had a blast. Lulu did really well, I thought, and she loved it. In fact, you'll love to hear this too, Chris. She's made me listen to Home by Superman, the Superman motion, score numerous times, as well as Fantastic Four score as well, the theme. But she's made me listen to that Superman one more, which is crazy. But she loved both those movies to death now, and she wants to see it again, Superman and Fantastic Four. And today we were walking in the with the dogs with my wife, and she was like, "I'm an Invisible Woman," and then like and I go, "I'll be the Thing," and she's like, "Mama, what are you gonna be?" "I'm the only girl though." So it was really funny. But she's into it. I mean, she liked Fantastic Four, which is really rad, and I dude, it's up there for me, man. I don't know yet. It's up there. It's definitely up there, and
I need the recency bias to wear off first
exactly
before I can determine where it's going to place. Okay, speaking of Mole Man, thought I love the Mole Man's characterization here. There's not very much like humor. This is not a James Gunn movie where it's kind of funny, bonkers, and whatever. The Mole Man is kind of that only little bit of comedy, which I thought he was just going to be a throwaway character at the beginning, and then he comes to actually be an essential part of the conclusion.
Yeah.
But if they had featured him more, this movie would have had a way different tone, because then all of a sudden we have a character who's prevalent through the whole thing, who is just a goofball character. So I'm kind of glad that they sidelined him a little bit to just being in those two little bits.
Really quickly, I wanted Curtis, did we see the subterraneans? Oh my God, I can't say that word. Subterraneans. Do we see them in the movie?
I think yes, we saw them at the very beginning. They're like rocky. They don't look like, they're not moloids with the yellow heads or whatever.
Yeah, I want the moloids. I want moloids.
Yeah.
Oh, I want them. Give me the yellow creatures. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Another thing that I really liked is over the credits. Did you hear the song that was playing over the credits? We will be devoured. The song "We Will Be Devoured."
Yeah, the Galactus cult, right?
Yeah. And but yeah, from the Galactic School, done in the style of the 1960s folk protest songs, and like we don't see any of that the hippie culture in this retro future Fantastic Four world, except for that one thing. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, I geeked out when he brought the Mad Thinker. I geeked out obviously when they had the Red Ghost and the Super Apes. You know, obviously, John Malkovich got his whole role is cut out, which it seems like he probably was part of the Mole Man, thing. Which that probably again the director's cut of this movie is going to be very interesting if they ever release it, which I hope they do because I think it's I want to see it. So.
Well, I hope they don't, and I hope that they bring John Malkovich back for a larger role in the next movie, because that's an actor who deserves to have some screen time.
Agreed. But as a Red Ghost,
actually, so has it been confirmed that he is the Red Ghost?
Yes.
Yeah, it was confirmed because I wanted him to be the Puppet Master.
Yeah.
Because the only reason is because I have Fantastic Four #8 and I want it to skyrocket in value because he's in a movie.
Curtis, your selfishness is well noted. so
and buy so many epic collections.
Yes, fair enough. So here's the deal. Javi, I'll give it a grade. I'd give it an 8.3. It's pretty damn good. I love this movie to death. I love this movie to death. Reverend, do you have anything you want to add that we missed? You want to wrap up here?
No, just if you're reticent or hesitant about going to see the movie, don't be. This Paul and I had a little fun conversation after the credits were rolling about how nervous he was going into this. I didn't have any of that. I was actually pretty confident that this movie would be pretty good. So, when it was just like, yeah, this I expected them to do this because they kind of needed to do this. I think that they recognized the necessity for having to nail the FF, especially considering that it seems like the team's going to be pretty important in the future plans. So, they needed to kind of hit it out of the park. And in those instances where Marvel has needed to step up to the plate, they've done a pretty solid job. So I was happy with it. And it's the best Fantastic Four movie by a not insignificant margin. So, very happy.
All right. So, Curtis will return, hopefully, in the Comic Binge next month with our JMS Fantastic Four binge, which I'm very excited to talk about. Again, took some left turns that I was not expecting on that run. Yeah, exactly. You got what I was saying, Chris. Go ahead and throw it up. Yep. Curtis will return, and so hopefully, and hopefully after that we'll continue our Fantastic Four journey because I had some ideas that he was open to. So hopefully we can keep that going because it's been really fun going back and revisiting these Fantastic Four comics because. I forgot, and not forgot, but I love this team and these comics so much that it's cool to find someone who knows as much, if they do know more. Like you do know way more than I do about the Fantastic Four, which is really cool to kind of talk about and go off with someone on. So that's really rad. So hopefully we can get that worked out next month. What else? I know you did a live stream yesterday of like some epics that came out. You got anything else planned going on?
No, in fact, I'm going away on a little vacation, so I probably won't be around much online in the next couple of weeks. Man, that is a hard question because they are so different of movies.
And they're both really good.
They're both really good. Yeah.
Thunderbolts is a great movie. It's a different movie, but it's a great movie. I'm bummed it didn't perform as well as it should have, but that's just me.
Yeah.
So
we never really talked about the Silver Surfer very much.
Oh yeah, really quick ones. Oh, I have my I'm hoping I ordered my my 4K, not Steelbook, just a regular 4K, and I'm hoping it gets here soon. So, yeah, Shella Ball, go ahead and spin a few thoughts about her. I thought she was great. I love the sacrifice. I thought but give me Norrin Rad. I'm a Norrin Rad guy. Give me Norrin.
Well, I mean, in this instance, it doesn't really matter if it's Norrin or Shalabal. They were the same character pretty much. They served the same purpose in this movie, and I thought that was great. Julia Gardner is fantastic, and I'm owning that pun. She's fantastic. She was so good. Did you ever watch Ozark? Have you seen that show?
My wife watched it. I need to watch it, but I've heard she's great in that too.
Yeah, she's just incredible. What an amazing actress she is, and to see her be able to take this character who is supposed to be devoid of emotion, and be able to still, through nuance, project all of the emotion that she did was really, really great. I liked that they gave her a big role as well, that she got action scenes and some fight scenes and got to do stuff rather than just kind of fly around. So I was happy with this portrayal. Would I have liked it to be more comic accurate, I guess? Sure, but it doesn't, in this instance, it didn't matter.
Yeah, I agree. She was good. I thought she was great. But again, I'm a Silver Surfer fan, OG. I mean, but she's great. I mean, served her purpose, I think really well. And like I said, great action scenes and great. I loved her and Johnny's connection. So yeah, that was super good. So, but yeah, hopefully Curtis will get you on. It looks like we should be able to hopefully get next month scheduled, and then after that, hopefully we can begin our the OG run, if you will. After that, so
Sure.
we'll see where you're at after that. So appreciate you coming on, man. I really do. You're awesome. You're always willing. I really appreciate it. This is a blast to have you on the show. So super appreciate it, man. Thank you.
I always appreciate the invite, Paul.
Absolutely. You always invite on here. You want to come up on? You pitch me a show. You're on. You just let me know.
Okay.
So that's all you have to do. That's all I have to do. You have your own show, I get, but if you want some, you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying. So anyway, Reverend, I didn't know if you were making it, but I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
I did say Tuesday, by the way. I did say Tuesday.
Text normally when it's time to jump on, and you did just like crickets.
I figured you just needed.
I randomly jump on my computer because I haven't updated it in a while. So I was like, I'll update it before showtime, and the show's already live. So what do you want me to do?
Oh, I love you.
That's
all right,
friendship over.
Yeah. No, never.
On thin ice. Just saying, you're on thin ice. Read more comics.
All right.